Welcome back to Congressional Corner. I'm your host, legendary anchorman Steve Connors. Today, the investigation into the bizarre attack on a congressional briefing last month with testimony from Secretary of Defense Chet Phillips himself. Speaker of the House Fran Nelson is headed to the podium now. Let's listen.
Hear ye, hear ye. The 504th meeting of this Congress is now in session. Today we will be hearing testimony from Secretary of Defense Phillips. Mr. Phillips, will you state your full name for the record?
Chester Ambrose Phillips III, but my friends call me Chet.
Thank you, Chet.
You can call me Secretary of Defense Phillips.
Mr. Secretary, you have chosen to lead the investigation into the attempt on your own life. Wouldn't it have been more prudent to have the special investigator we selected take the lead?
Oh, would that be one Mr. Joseph Agador, formerly of the Secret Service?
Yes.
The same Mr. Joseph Agador who recently purchased a summer home in Palm Beach despite having declared bankruptcy twice in the last 10 years?
I don't know anything about Mr. Agador's finances.
Oh, don't you? Because it seems odd to me that Mr. Agador's personal finance advisor is your brother-in-law, Madam Speaker.
I assure you, I had no idea.
Did you also have no idea that your brother-in-law's brother-in-law from his middle sister's second marriage runs the catering company that owns and operates the coffee carts here in Congress? The very same catering company who employed Douglas Joyce, who they hired to attack and replace their other employee, William Fink. Man, they really overcomplicated that plan. The same Douglas Joyce who attacked me and is also the co-signer on Joseph Agador's Palm Beach summer home, paid for via a transfer from your bank account, Madam Speaker, via your brother-in-law, the financial advisor.
This is outrageous.
I quite literally have brought the receipts. You orchestrated the entire attack. I don't know why.
Because I hate you, Chet Phillips!
Oh, come on. Everybody loves me.
You ignored me on the playground in grade school. When we were in middle school, you borrowed my Nintendo and never gave it back. When we were in high school, you cheated off my exams. And when we were in college, you dated my mother.
Oh, you're that Fran Nelson? Hey, way to hold a grudge. Officers, arrest the Speaker of the House. How's your mom, by the way? Still single?
My mother! I will kill you, Chet Phillips! No!
Absolute chaos here on the House floor. I haven't seen madness like this since Spiro Agnew's memorial. Congressman Flowers now coming to the podium, calling for some sort of sanity from the crowd.
Order! Order! Mr. Phillips, you sit before a very grateful Congress, nay, a grateful nation. Uncovering a plot like this in the heart of our government, we need more leaders like you. In fact, I hereby move that given our sudden need for a new Speaker of the House, Chet Phillips be voted in immediately. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Congratulations, Mr. Speaker.
Rejected?
Mission rejected. The story of the world's most secret agents. The backups. Tonight's episode. Murder She Plagiarized.
Thank you all for coming. We seem to be short a Bowden.
Oh, that's code for where's Bowden, Z?
Oh, he should be here any minute. He had a costume fitting down at the theater.
Happy Friday, all! Please enjoy these complimentary passes to my latest show, The Who's Tammy, a musical biography of Tammy Faye Baker set to the classic rock of Pete Townsend.
Thanks, Bowden.
I play Jerry Falwell as the Acid Queen.
And I'm sure you're outstanding.
That's code for moving on.
Okay, Agent McGrath. We get it. Ha ha.
Are you kidding me? I'm going to dine out on the fact that only I figured out Skip's secret code for, well, forever.
McGrath does have a point, Section Chief. In fact, given our recent history, I thought about using today to begin an intensive recertification course on code phrases and their deployment.
But you quickly regained your sanity?
No! I found a mission. Gloria, slide project. Oh, sorry. Force of habit. No projector duty for the senior agent.
No, it's all right. I've missed her.
Thank you, Gloria. Now, you're looking at Grover's Glen, Maine.
Well, that looks friggin' charming.
Indeed, this historic little hamlet is home to exceptional fishing and boating, a bevy of scenic nature trails, bike paths, and public parks.
An ideal honeymoon spot, perhaps?
Shh, Bowden.
The town hall dates back to the 1740s, and an active historical society ensures that buildings within the city limits retain the colonial-style architecture. The town has an award-winning children's choir, a thriving indigenous population of puffins, and it's the murder capital of the world.
What?
It's true. Despite a population of just under 4,000, nearly 2% of its residents have been the victims of murder over the last few years.
Are we going after a serial killer? Gloria, we could start a podcast!
My preferred psychopath.
Murder Town.
2 girls, many murders.
Only murders in Maine.
Mainly murder.
Damn.
Thank you, and you're welcome.
All right. Agent Granger, what makes this an EMF case? A serial killer is the FBI's purview.
It's not a serial killer. Mrs. Alma Ames, asphyxiated by avuncular astronaut Andy Adams. Professor Harold Holcomb, homicide by the head of history Hank Henrys. Greengrocer Gary Goodman, garroted by greedy groundskeeper Gordon Gale.
Wait, these are all closed cases?
Every one of them. This town doesn't just have the highest number of murders per capita, it also has the highest conviction record. Every single crime solved, with a confession.
That is...
extraordinary?
I was going to say unbelievable, but yes, fine.
The man closing all these cases is the town sheriff, one Art Antonelli, a former New York City beat cop with no record of note. Since becoming sheriff of Grover's Glen, he now has the highest clearance rate of any law enforcement agent in the country.
Does anyone else smell bacon?
The fact that he's solving all these murders has to make him one of the greatest detectives in the country. Maybe one we'd like to recruit to the EMF?
Our bench of contractors is looking pretty thin. Does Joe the plumber still think he's a dog?
All right, Skip, if you think it's worth looking into, check it out. We could use some fresh blood, and if nothing else, after everything that's happened, you and your team deserve a weekend in a bucolic town.
You won't regret it, Section Chief. Tell Stefan to break out the knit sweaters. We're going to Maine!
So, what's the plan, Skip?
We'll pose as a TV crew doing a documentary on the sheriff. I've already been in contact with Sheriff Antonelli, posing as the show's producer. McGrath, you'll pose as the sound engineer.
The perfect cover to place bugs and listen in on Grover's Glen's most private conversations.
Gloria, you'll act as our camera person.
The camera sees all. And adds 8 pounds.
And Bowden...
Yes, I know. On-air talent.
Hair and makeup.
Excuse me.
You'll be able to get close, plant trackers, take DNA samples,
But if you're the producer, who's going to be on camera?
I'll be asking questions off camera. My style is less Dateline and more Dance Moms.
Very well. But I am not supplying any of my personal hair products. Or makeup.
Skip, you have 2 days. The last thing I need is Secretary Phillips griping about expense reports.
He's doing that now?
Yeah, I heard it.
Vestibule, yes. Last, not now. I'm just about to kill the bishop. All right. Oh, Gray. No. English breakfast, I think. Yes. Now, where was I? Oh, yes. A blow to the mitre for the bishop was... Can't a lady assassinate a bishop in peace and quiet anymore? Come in. It's open.
Morning, Tess.
Oh, hello, Sheriff Antonelli.
Morning, Mrs. Thatcher.
Good morning. Hello, Grace dear. Would either of you like a cup of tea? The kettle just boiled.
Oh, no thanks, ma'am. Deputy Grace here thought we should come by to see how you're doing.
Given what day it is and all.
Oh, yes.
2 years since your husband died.
Ted was a hell of a guy.
We all miss him. especially down at the community theater. Nobody can do Marley's ghost like Mr. Thatcher could.
2 years. Is that all? Well, not a day goes by that I don't think of him, you know. And, well, of course, if Ted hadn't died, who knows if I ever would have written my first book.
Your first bestseller. Or your second. Or your third. You're the pride of Grover's Glen, Mrs. Thatcher.
Which is why we wanted to make sure you were okay today.
Oh, well, thank you both, but as far as I'm concerned, the only thing I have to do today is kill the bishop.
Bishop O'Bannon?
No, though. After that sermon he gave at Easter, I could see why you'd think that. No, I'm working on my next book. The Cardinal Cried at Midnight.
I can't wait.
Well, come on, Deputy Grace. Let's leave Mrs. Thatcher to her work.
Oh, and we've still got to get over to Tammy Townie's before those TV people get here.
Sorry, TV people?
Sheriff Antonelli is being profiled as the Law Enforcement Officer of the Year.
Oh, is he now?
For my 100% confession rate.
Your 100% confession rate.
Tammy is lending me some pieces from her interior decorating business. Spruce up the sheriff's station for the cameras.
Maybe you should stop by, Mrs. Thatcher.
Oh, I'm sure Mrs. T isn't interested in that sort of thing. She's a busy lady.
Yes, well, if I can kill off this bishop before lunch, then I'll have Doc Fisherman drive me over.
No, don't rush her out on our account, Mrs. T. Bishops don't off themselves after all. Most of the time. Come on, Grace.
See you later, Mrs. Thatcher.
Indeed. Ta-ta. Bye. 100% confession rate. Ugh.
Tommy, have you seen the Williams-Sonoma design book?
It's propping up the end of the table.
No, that's last year's. I need the new fall lookbook.
Then I don't know, hon. Did you check the shelf?
The catalog shelf? Yes, Tom. It was the first place I looked. Jesus, you stink. It's 8:30 in the morning. How much have you had to drink?
It's my aftershave.
Oh, howdy, Tammy.
Sheriff!
Tom?
Old man Murphy sent you over here to complain about that tax return I did for him. Then I was just a simple misunderstanding.
Tommy, your blood pressure.
Easy, Tom. We're just here for some set dressing.
Art, I've got just what you need. A couple of really fun ferns and that Herman Miller desk chair.
Executive chair.
Everything is in the back. Grace, can you help me with the ferns?
Oh, my pleasure, Mrs. Towney.
Tammy tells me that you're going to be on TV. Detective of the Year?
That's right.
Well, cheers to that.
A pocket flask? I've heard of a liquid lunch, but a liquid breakfast?
Or maybe it wasn't Tammy who told me. Maybe I read it in the paper. Hey, are they going to interview Mrs. Thatcher on your little show?
Now, why would they do that, Tom?
Maybe they should interview me. Yeah, I think I'll swing by the station later. Get myself on TV.
Sheriff Antonelli, look at these ferns.
Yeah, real nice, Grace.
I'm going to go stick them in the flatbed.
And this chair will make you look like the world-class detective you are.
Thanks, Tammy. I'll load it into the truck.
Well, I gotta get to work.
You're not driving anywhere, are you, Tom?
Oh, doesn't the world's greatest detective know? I work upstairs now. She made me get rid of the office.
I didn't make you do anything, Tom. Sharing an office is more practical and affordable. I'm with clients most of the day. I don't really need a desk.
Whatever.
Are you all right, Tammy? Tom seemed real mad.
He's just having a rough time right now. It's nothing I can't deal with. You go get ready for your big interview. Oh, here. Take this bug out for the ferns. The lanternflies have just been out of control.
All right. Thanks again, Tammy.
Oh, I'll deal with you, Tommy Towney. Just you wait.
Okay, so
all right, I got the sound.
Are you sure I can't offer you another cup of coffee?
No, thank you, Deputy Goodwin.
Yeah, 16 is his limit. Look, not to be pushy, but when did you say your sheriff would be back? We were supposed to be shooting already.
I'm sure he'll be right back. He just ran out to get some bug out for our new ferns. Want to have them looking perfect for your cameras. And it's a 2-for-1 sale down at the general store.
This is so lame. I thought we'd be starting a murder podcast. but this town is sleepier than a nightclub factory.
Heads up! Here he comes!
Oh, thanks for holding down the fort, Grace. Sorry I'm late, everyone.
Not at all, Sheriff Antonelli. Thank you again for letting us set up the shoot in your station.
It's my pleasure. Just make sure you get my chair in the shot. It's a Herman Miller.
You have a Herman Miller? Ooh, how ergonomic.
Do you think these ferns should go behind the desk or in front of them? I'm sorry, I'm just so excited. I've never met real TV people before.
You still haven't.
Pardon?
Ferns in the back. We still need to be able to see your sheriff.
Oh, right. Of course.
Sheriff, can I wire you up for sound?
Oh, sure. I guess that mic isn't water sensitive by any chance. I sweat a lot.
Makeup?
God help me, there isn't enough powder in all of Hollywood.
Hello?
Mrs. Thatcher.
Hope you don't mind us dropping in. I needed a break, and Doc offered to drive us over.
Mrs. T, you made it. Come to see all the TV excitement, Doc?
It's like Disney Hollywood Studios in here. Makes sense, of course. I always said Art was a Mickey Mouse sheriff.
Oh, thanks, Doc, and you're a real Snow White.
Mm-hmm.
Your hair looks lovely, Art. Did you, do it yourself?
Madam, I'll have you know it took an entire bottle of... Great Scott!
Bo?
Gloria, it's T.T. Thatcher.
The mystery writer?
Whose next novel, The Cardinal Cried at Midnight, has already started a bidding war for the movie rights. Mrs. Thatcher, it is you, isn't it?
Guilty as charged. Please, call me Tess. You are?
Bowden Montcrief, proud SAG member. I was briefly seen as the blackjack dealer in the Hallmark TV movie of your book, Killing Your Own Clone is Still Murder.
Oh, yes, Mr. Montcrief. I remember that part. Your use of the Monte Carlo style of dealing was a particularly smart choice.
You noticed that?
She notices everything. Mm-hmm.
Say, now this is an interesting angle for the story. What's it like having one of the greatest mystery writers in the world as a neighbor when you're the town sheriff?
Yeah. You ever pick her brain when working a case?
Who, Mrs. T? Sure, she helps out from time to time, on occasion.
Like on the Edwards exsanguination?
And the Peterson patricide.
And the Grady gassing? Need I go on?
Well, I help out when I can. But Art here is a more than capable sheriff.
Well, thank you. And I'd love to show you how capable, but we're having a pretty quiet day in our little hamlet.
I demand to speak to the sheriff.
Mr. Murphy.
Don't Mr. Murphy me. I want to report a crime.
At last! Oh, I mean, how shocking.
What's your beef, Murphy?
Tommy Towney is a no-good crook. That's my beef. He's been using his position as my accountant to cook the books, skimming off the top for himself.
Now, Murph, Tom already talked to me about this. He said it was all a simple misunderstanding.
Hey, horse bucky. I got evidence to prove it. I want him charged.
All right, I'll take a look at these. And I will talk to Tom this afternoon. But at the moment, I'm a bit busy being interviewed.
You slick-back, silver-tongued New York devil. If you won't do it, I'll show you how we handle things in Maine. Get out of my way.
Wow. His exits are almost as subtle as Bowden's.
Me?
Oh, my. Oh, dear.
Something catch your eye, Mrs. Thatcher?
What's that, dear? Oh, well, I'm no accountant, but these papers old man Murphy left behind are very peculiar indeed. Here, Art, what do you make of this?
Oh, yeah, well, that's very interesting. What exactly am I looking at here?
Look at the sales tax numbers.
5.5%, that's right.
Well, for the state sales tax, yes, but look at the next line. Tommy was taking out a county sales tax at the same rate.
And Maine doesn't have county sales tax.
Well, that's right. Say, you're quite knowledgeable for a television producer.
Oh, well, state tax codes are some of my favorite bedtime reading. If you want to see some really interesting stuff, you should look at what Utah does. My goodness.
Easy does it, Mr. Producer.
Oh, it could just be a mistake. Tom Towney isn't what I'd call the sharpest pencil in the box.
Hell of a mistake, even for a dull pencil.
Wouldn't shock me. Tommy messed up my taxes so badly last year, I'm still being audited. Could cost me my practice.
Sheriff Antonelli, if you need to deal with this, we could always tag along with you, get some footage of you in the field, and then do the sit-down interview later.
What do you say, Art? Want to show these fancy TV folks how we solve a crime here in Grover's Glen?
Well, sure. Yeah. If your folks don't mind loading up your gear, we can take this show on the road.
You're all wired up for sound, so all we need is the camera.
Oh, no problem. I've actually been dying to try out the Steadicam rig.
My God, you're sexy when you talk shop. Looking good.
Everything's ready here. We should just start already.
Yeah. And we're rolling.
Tommy? Tammy? It's the sheriff. Tammy, you here?
Tammy, it's Tess Thatcher here.
Tom?
Are you here?
It doesn't seem like anyone is home.
Yeah, but Tom should be here. He made a big deal earlier about having to work upstairs.
Well, maybe he's on the phone. Yeah, I'll go up to the office and see.
Let me come with you. It'll give me just enough time to pitch you my spin-off idea starring the blackjack dealer.
Better you than me. My knees aren't what they used to be.
Said the mitre to the bishop. Well, come along, Mr. Montcrief. Oh, dear me. Look, the townies seem to be hoarding copies of the Grover's Glen Gazette. How odd. Up we go.
McGrath, this is odd.
We're in Maine. Everything is odd.
No, this is an interior design office. It's immaculate, except for this pile of local newspapers. They go back months, years even.
Maybe she uses them for papier-mâché.
Ooh, I've been wanting to make a papier-mâché bust of Section Chief Anders.
Stop it, right now.
Oh.
Bowden?
Mrs. T?
Tess.
Come quickly.
Bowden?
Everyone, stay in the hall.
What is it?
It's Tommy Towney. He's dead.
My true crime podcast dreams are coming true. What, too soon?
Oh, everybody stay back.
Let me by, man. I'm a doctor.
I don't think there's anything you can do, Doc.
No pulse. Body's still warm. Rigor hasn't set in. I'd say he'd be dead less than an hour.
Bowden, your shirt. It's all bloody.
What? Oh, no, it's wine. I knocked this glass off the desk when I tripped over the body.
Doctor, is there any indication of what happened?
Nothing immediate. No signs of a struggle. No obvious wounds. Probably cardiac arrest. You'll need to order an autopsy, Art.
Tammy was talking about his blood pressure this morning.
Damn fool, I told him to come in for a physical.
Well, yes, I suggest we all head back downstairs. We don't want to run the chance of contaminating the crime scene.
Crime scene? What are you talking about, woman? I just said heart attack.
I don't think so, Doc. This is a murder. You notice anything unusual about his lips?
They're deep purple. Nothing unusual about that when drinking wine.
And look at the stain on Montcrief's shirt. That's more of a gamay, not a deep purple like a Cabernet.
You're right.
Art, if I had to guess...
No need to guess, Mrs. T. Methemoglobinemia.
What now?
Methemoglobinemia. The discoloration of the lips due to poisoning. Most likely sulfuric acid or some sort of nitrate. Wouldn't you agree, Mrs. Thatcher?
Yes, I suppose. I couldn't have said better myself.
So he was poisoned?
Yo, that old man Murphy was pretty pissed. Said he was going to settle things the Maine way.
Yes, my dear. Mr. Murphy certainly is an interesting character.
Well, maybe, but poisoning is almost always the crime of a female. Grace, get an APB out on Tammy Towney.
Oh, Art, be serious. Tammy Towney couldn't hurt a fly.
I'm sorry, Mrs. T. You're wrong. Grace and I were here this morning to pick up the stuff for the show. Things were pretty tense. Isn't that right, Grace?
I'm afraid so. Mr. Towney was real mad, and he smelled of alcohol already. Mrs. Towney seemed real upset.
She got fed up with his drinking and abuse. Knew he'd be hitting the bottle all day, so she poisoned the wine and then made herself scarce. Probably trying to establish an alibi.
Well, I just don't believe it.
Believe it. Grace, the APB.
On it, Sheriff.
Hold up, Grace. I'll come with you. I'll call Joe Fielding from the ME's office to get someone down here.
pretty nifty deduction on the sheriff's part, don't you think?
I still think it was the old man.
Sheriff, maybe we could get some shots of you dusting the wine bottles for prints.
I didn't bring a kit with me. I didn't know we'd be seeing this kind of action.
Oh, well, maybe we could use some of the talcum powder from our makeup kit.
There's none left. Sweaty McSweaterton over here used the whole bottle.
Well, I have a gland problem.
Right, come on, Mr. Montcrief. Come with me. Let's go down to the kitchen. I have a home remedy that will get that wine stain out in the blink of an eye.
Skip, I don't like this. The whole thing is giving me the willies.
Murder is always ugly, McGrath. Gloria and I will stay here with the sheriff. He's already wired for sound, so why don't you go find out what Old Man Murphy is up to?
On it. I'll get his address from the deputy. I assume they have Unter in this backwater burb.
Come on, Bowden. Let's get you cleaned up. Country style.
That's just what Dolly Parton said to me on the set of 9 to 5-2. Maximum overtime.
Come on. The kitchen is down the back stairs. And I'll bet Dolly Parton did not say that. Come along. Here we are. Cream of tartar, horseradish, half a lemon.
You do understand the goal is to make the shirt less stained, yes?
Well, take it off and I'll show you some Maine magic.
All right, here you go. Careful, that's the finest button-up shirt Costco has to offer.
And Dunkerama. There. Now, we just need to let this sit for a bit. I don't want to dirty Tammy's counters, though. Just see if there's any newspaper in the rubbish bin, will you?
Yeah, it's full of it. Here. And this will really work?
Of course. Now you just trust your Auntie Tess.
Auntie Tess?
Well, that's what a lot of folk call me in the town. The young ones, anyway. It's quite flattering. I try to be a good friend and neighbour to all of Grover's Glen.
Including the townies?
Oh, yes, especially Tammy. And she was one of my students before I became an author. I was a substitute teacher at the local school. English, math, history, home ec, woodshop, auto repair, whatever needed covering.
And the sheriff? How often does he need covering?
Well, like I said, I help out when I can.
Not for nothing, Tess, but this town has an incredibly high murder per capita rate, and Sheriff Antonelli has closed every single one of them. That's pretty stunning for any cop, but especially one who couldn't even recognize sales tax. Don't you think?
Yeah, this might be a very stubborn stain. Would you see if Tammy has any baking powder? It would be in one of the high cabinets, just over there.
She said, avoiding the question asked of her. Let me look. Trash bags, glass cleaner, wood cleaner, fabric cleaner. I don't see any baking powder. Lots of pesticide, though. Maybe that will melt the stain away.
Pesticide? What brand?
Bug Off. Why, does it matter?
See, I use it on my petunias. The primary ingredient in Bug Off is sodium nitrate.
Just like the poisoned wine.
Oh, dear Tammy. What have you done?
No, look, this box is sealed, never used.
But there's just the one box?
Yes. Oh, I see. The deputy mentioned there had been 2-for-1 down at Grover's Glen General Grocery. My God, this entire town is just one fantastic vocal warm-up.
Will you look at that? Stain came out. Good as new.
Great Scott, so it has.
There you go.
Madam, there are costume crews around the world that would kill for your secrets.
I suppose there's no way of knowing if Tammy bought 2 boxes of Bug Off or just the one, or how long ago. Unless... Do you happen to have a car?
Yes. What are you thinking?
I wonder, Mr. Montcrief, if you'd be kind enough to shuttle me to the grocery store.
Testing. 1, 2, testing. This is Mackenzie McGrath, and you're listening to Mainly Murder. Today I interview Old Man Murphy, prime suspect number 1 in the murder of Tommy Towney. I'm here at his home, 1313 Crooked Lane. Sure, not ominous at all, Maine. Hello? Mr. Murphy?
Hold your horses, I'm coming. Who the blazes are you?
Mr. Murphy, I'm with the...
I don't want any.
Any what?
Whatever it is you're selling.
I'm not selling anything.
I don't need any religion. Go peddle your golden plates elsewhere.
You are so barking up the wrong tree. I saw you at the sheriff's station earlier. I wanted to ask you a few questions about your beef with Tommy Towney.
That cock of the walk, embezzling son of a redcoat. I won't even foul my mouth with his name.
He's been murdered.
Yeah, good thing, too.
I'm producing a podcast about the murder, and I wondered...
Snooping's more like it. Sticking your nose where it don't belong. You better come in, Missy. I'll put the kettle on.
Skip, we've been here almost an hour, and Sheriff Antonelli hasn't done much except recomb his hair 50 times. Nothing about him strikes me as EMF material.
Let's not give up yet, Gloria. Maybe we just haven't seen his full process.
So, camera lady, where do you think the best place to film this interview is? I'm thinking I could lean on the fireplace mantle, sort of casual.
Don't you think there are more important things to focus on?
Like how there's something a bit out of the ordinary about this room?
I know. A lot of these old homes don't have air conditioning. Took me a while to get used to it. Even my little cold water walk-up on the Lower East Side had a window unit.
No, these newspapers, they're strewn around in this otherwise immaculate room.
What are you talking about? So a couple of newspapers are on the floor. It's a business. People in and out of here all day. Anybody could have knocked them over.
All right, but that doesn't explain why every one of these papers skips from Section 1 to Section 3. Every one. Not a Section 2 in sight.
Well, maybe they like doing a word jumble. Look, we all know what a drunk Tommy Towney was. I was here this morning, and he was already 3 sheets to the wind. I wouldn't be surprised if he knocked these newspapers over himself.
The sheriff's right. Mr. Towney was pretty lit for that time of morning.
Grace, do me a favor. Clean up these papers. We took more than enough footage of the room.
Yes, Sheriff.
Say, Mr. Producer, is my hair still good?
Sheriff, far be it from me to tell you how to do your job, but shouldn't you be investigating?
Look, either Tammy will come home or one of the state patrolmen will pick her up from the APB. Either way, I'll get a confession. Just like I always do.
But there are other suspects. Old Man Murphy was furious at Tommy. What about the doctor? He said Tommy almost ruined his business, and he sure darted up those stairs awfully fast for a guy with bad knees.
Doc Fisherman, a killer? Don't make me laugh.
What's going on here? Sheriff, was there something wrong with the chair?
Where were you, Tammy?
I went to the post office to see if the new paint samples have come in. Why?
And someone over at the post office can verify this? Postmaster Hildy, maybe?
Well, no. I just checked my P.O. box in the lobby. I didn't go to the counter. I don't think anyone saw me. Will someone please tell me what's going on?
Tommy's dead, Mrs. Towney.
What? No!
Found him up in his office.
No!
Easy, Tammy.
Tommy!
I'm so sorry, but it's true.
Someone poisoned his wine.
Wine? He was drinking whiskey this morning. Oh, God, Tommy!
Now, I'm going to need you to come down to the station with us. Answer some questions.
I didn't kill him! Art, you have to believe me.
We'll talk about it downtown. Tammy Towney, I'm placing you under arrest on the suspicion of murder.
This is a nightmare.
I hope you're getting all this, camera lady. Grace, let's go.
Be right with you.
Deputy, do you mind if Skip and I ride with you? Bowden took our production van to take Mrs. Thatcher shopping.
Not at all. In fact, I want to talk to you. I think you were right about those newspapers.
I knew there was something there.
It's more what's not there. Section 2 isn't the word jumble.
One lump or two?
2, please.
There you are.
Thanks.
Now, little Miss Snoopy, what's it you want to know?
Did you kill Tommy Towney?
Sure enough.
Whoa. Maybe it really is that easy to get a confession in this town.
You better drink that tea while it's still hot.
Say, this tea isn't poisoned, is it?
Parker brush. Poison is a female crime.
But you poisoned Tommy Towney.
Certainly did not. Shot him in the back, like a man.
Listen, I hate to break it to you, but I saw the body. He was not shot.
Then I strangled him?
Nope.
Bludgeoned?
I literally told you he was poisoned.
All right, well, I guess I poisoned him then. I must have been in touch with my feminine side.
Mr. Murphy, don't take this the wrong way, but I don't think you killed him.
Sure enough did. I killed them all. The greengrocer, the history teacher, Alma Ames. You'd think by now I'd have been on the TV.
Alma Ames. How did you kill her?
Harpoon to the heart.
She was asphyxiated.
Right. The harpoon was the greengrocer?
Strangulation.
Dagnabbit. You're worse than that Thatcher woman.
Mrs. Thatcher? What do you mean?
No matter how many times I'd confess to that sheriff of ours, she'd burst in with some cockamamie theory about who really did it. And instead of getting my face on the front page of the paper, I get shuffled back to this dump. I just wanted someone to notice me.
Well, there won't be any front page for you this time either, Murph. But tell me, it was Mrs. Thatcher who cleared you every time?
Sure enough. Even when the sheriff was ready to believe me.
Fascinating.
Damn fool woman.
Murph, how did you like your 15 minutes of fame?
Grace, lock Tammy up in the back. She can call for a lawyer in the morning.
Please, Art, Grace, this is insane. I didn't kill Tommy.
Oh, I got more than enough to keep you under suspicion of murder.
Mrs. Towney, maybe you should call your lawyer.
But I didn't do it! Doesn't sound like you'll be getting a confession this time, Sheriff.
I'll confess.
I know, Murph. Honestly, this guy would confess to the JFK assassination.
I did that too, filthy Bostoner. Got me a real rash from that grassy knoll.
I don't have time for your nonsense today, Murphy. Grace, the prisoner.
Come on, Mrs. Towney.
Grace, please.
Sorry.
You have to believe me.
I believe you, Tammy.
Not now, Mrs. T.
Hold on there, Sheriff. Mrs. Thatcher and I did some grocery shopping.
I hope you got a receipt for your expense report.
You know, there are many things I love about living in Grover's Glen, but most of all, I love what a tight-knit community we are.
And also what huge gossips.
Well, yes. For example, Cassie, the cashier at the Grover Glen General Grocer, gladly gabbed about how Tammy here recently bought 2 boxes of Bug Out.
Yes, that's right. Just the other day. 2-for-1 sale.
So?
Well, everyone loves a sale. See, Grace even pointed out that you specifically went to the General Grover today because of that sale.
Okay, Mrs. T. You got me. I do love a bargain.
Then why did you only bring back 1 box of Bug Out this morning?
What? Well, I guess I left the other one in the car.
Don't think so, Chief. Cassie the cashier confessed cheerfully that you haven't been in at all today.
That's right. I was in such a rush, I went to the Stop and Save. I didn't really need 2 boxes anyway. It was just for these ferns.
This box of Bug Out?
Yeah. Look, Mrs. T, I got a murder case to make here.
Yes. A case against yourself.
Are you out of your mind, Tess?
No. And I can prove it. This box is nearly empty.
Of course it is. I used it on the ferns.
No, I'm afraid not. The sheriff's station was full of people when you arrived back from the store. Did anyone here see you use the Bug Off?
No, we did not.
No, me either, Sheriff.
My camera was running the whole time. Lots of footage of you sweating, not a frame of you using Bug Off.
See, the box was already open when you got here, wasn't it? And half empty because you had poured it into Tommy Towney's wine.
Wait a minute. I gave you one of my boxes of Bug Off with the ferns.
Oh, this is insane. I'm the sheriff. Why would I kill Tommy?
Because Tommy knew the truth about who the real detective in this town was. He was keeping track. You know, I couldn't figure out why the Towneys had all those old newspapers around.
They were Tommy's. He insisted we keep them.
But then, Deputy Grace here pointed out what section was missing from every single issue.
The police blotter. All the stories about the cases we've been closing lately.
Tommy Towney was studying those stories, and he came to realize there was one common factor in all of them.
That Mrs. T.T. Thatcher somehow provided vital clues in every case.
Flooey, I could have told you that.
No offense, Murph, but you're the town kook. It really doesn't matter what you say.
I killed Marilyn Monroe.
But if Tommy Towney started talking about how the sheriff couldn't actually solve anything, people might actually listen.
See, Tommy must have tipped his hand when you were there this morning. You were nervous he might ruin your big TV interview, so you made up the excuse that you needed pesticide and you headed back to the Towneys. Now, I'm not certain, but, well, I suspect you brought him the bottle of wine as a sort of peace offering.
And poor Tommy drank it down, never knowing you had poisoned it.
Then, either out of rage or guilt, you took the crime section out of each of the newspapers and threw them in the garbage. Bowden and I found them while I was cleaning his shirt.
You weren't sweating because of a gland problem. You were sweating because you had just killed Tommy Towney.
I guess there's no denying it. Yes, I killed him. Just like you said. He was going to ruin everything. And you know what they called me in New York? Art the Fart. I never closed a major case, never made detective. So I ran away to the farthest place from Manhattan I could find and became sheriff here. I thought it would be quiet. Easy.
But even Grover's Glen has its criminals.
Criminals? This town has more killers than Rikers Island. But I kept closing the cases, getting confessions.
Because Mrs. Thatcher was helping you.
More than helping. She could see things I never would have even considered. Hell, I was ready to book Old Man Murphy at least twice.
And you should have.
But she never took credit. Always let me get the glory. If it weren't for you TV people making it national news, we could have just kept on as it was. In a way, this is all your fault.
You didn't have to agree to the interview, Sheriff.
I don't think you should call me that anymore, Grace.
You're under arrest, Art.
Tammy, for what it's worth, I really am sorry.
I hope you burn in hell.
Mr. Murphy, perhaps you would be so kind as to drive Mrs. Towney to the hospital. I believe she'd like to say goodbye to her husband. Just ask for Doc Fisherman.
At your service, Widow Towney. If you don't mind hearing about where I buried Jimmy Hoffa.
Well...
Mrs. Thatcher, you were incredible.
Oh, come on, it was a group effort.
Oh, no, you were all over this from the very beginning. It was you who got me to look at the newspapers.
And got me to talk to Murphy.
And knew all about the bug out.
Stop. Well, it's very flattering praise coming from a team of spies.
No.
And for a TV crew, you seem thoroughly uninterested in making a TV show. Your camera battery has been dead for at least an hour.
Aw, nuts.
Oh, besides, when I was washing Bowden's shirt, I noticed a property of EMF wardrobe department label stitched in the collar.
Wait a minute, are you kidding? Oh, God damn it, Stefan!
If I were the government, I'd be curious about Grover's Glen, too. But it's not the CIA or FBI's territory, so it makes sense that there would be another outfit assigned. Some sort of extraordinary missions force, perhaps?
Mrs. Thatcher, you're amazing!
Oh, it was nothing. Anyone with two eyes could have reached the same conclusions.
No. Lady, you just out-observed 3 of the greatest spies around. And Bowden.
I'd be offended if it weren't true. Madam, dare I suggest that the EMF has room for one widowed mystery novelist? The freelance rate is frankly laughable, but the sense of moral justice is priceless.
Truly. No one would have to know. We would just call you in whenever we need a fresh set of eyes.
I came here to recruit the world's greatest detective to our team, and I think I'm finally meeting her. All of Antonelli's closed murders cases were really yours.
Yeah, about that. Are we seriously not going to look into the murder rate in this town? I'd be afraid to get out of bed in the morning, let alone walk down the street here.
Oh, I tell you, if I ever stopped to truly think about why the specter of death seems to follow me wherever I go, popping off friends and relations like disposable tissues, I'd probably go mad. It's best to just whistle on your way past the graveyard.
What do you say, Mrs. Thatcher? Will you join the EMF?
Thank you, but no.
Oh.
No, honestly, I prefer solving fictional crimes, and, well, you know, I still have a bishop to kill, the bastard. Look, if you don't mind, I think I'll just spin off from you here and pilot my way out the back door. Ta-ta!
What an oddly specific metaphor.
Do you think we'll ever cross over with her again?
Oh, I think we'll be seeing her again real soon.
Why?
She left her purse on the desk.
Mission Rejected was created and produced by Pete Barry, J. Michael DeAngelis, and John Dowgin. Associate producer Paige Klaniecki. This episode was written and directed by J. Michael DeAngelis. It starred Chris Klaniecki as Skip Granger, Nazli Sarpkaya as Mackenzie McGrath, Dave Stanger as Bowden Montcrief, Paige Klaniecki as Gloria Kovak, Faith Dowgin as Section Chief Zelda Anders, with Kirk White as Chet Phillips and Katerina McGrath as the mission voice. Also starring Ashley Banks as Athena O'Brien, Jill Ivey as Ellie Mae Sederstrom, and Bob Killion as Newscaster Steve and Old Man Murphy. Guest starring Marnie Werner as Speaker of the House Fran Nelson, John Dowgin as Congressman Flowers, Sarah Golding as Tess Thatcher, Ed Favor as Sheriff Art Anantelli, Mia Scarpa as Deputy Grace Goodwin, Allison Cossett as Tammy Towney, Sam Pascoe as Tommy Towney, J. Michael DeAngelis as Doc Fisherman, Pete Barrett as Christados O'Brien and Ted DeSoto, Caden Dowgin as Timmy 2-Bit Thompson, and Rebecca Surface as Lucky. Music, sound editing, and mixing by Pete Barry. Did they just seriously threaten us with a spin-off? Well, I suppose parodies of 40-year-old network television shows aimed at retired grandmothers must be someone's cup of tea. Though I can't possibly imagine who. But hey, if that's your thing, you can help make the dream a reality by supporting us on Patreon or Ko-fi. Visit us at missionrejected.com/support for details. This has been a Portrait production, copyright 2024, Extraordinary Missions Limited.
Have one of these. It'll make you feel better.
Excuse my tardiness. Thank you all for coming. Welcome to Athena Corps, my humble employees. I am Christados O'Brien. In my daughter's totally legitimate and legal grand new empire, I am the director of personnel.
Aye, Captain.
Whatever you say, Mr. Potatoes.
I, for one, am very excited to get my hands dirty. Are you Liberace?
No, for the last time.
What's my first assignment, Uncle Chris? Espionage? Seducing an asset? Assassinating Master Agent Skip Granger?
You, my boy, are fired.
Huh?
So sorry, Timmy Poo. Guess you'll have to toddle home to mommies while the real adults get to work.
You too, Sederstrom.
Me?
What?
But I handed you the cloning technology on a silver platter.
You handed Terry Corps the cloning technology. We're Athena Corps now, and the cloning program is terminated. Along with you. You too, Lucky.
Do I even work here?
Okay, I can see which way the wind is blowing here, but I'm not leaving until we've discussed my severance package.
Oh, Ted. For the man who drugged me and helped Terry Millionaire keep me locked in a cage? Absolutely. Dad?
One severance package coming up. Release the pumas.
Yeah, okay, you know what? I'll just be back. Okay, missed me by that much. Oh, that one got me. Okay, all right.
So, anyone else want to discuss severance? Or can I assume you'll all be signing your ironclad NDAs on the way out?
I never saw anything. I was never here. I'll see myself out.
You're insane! I'm going back to the peace and quiet of the Russian underworld. I'm out of here. I just can't believe it.
Bye-bye. Okay. Table cleared, Dad?
All ties to your criminal past are erased. This is now a totally legitimate operation.
Excellent. Now we can get to work.
Another quality podcast from the Porch Room.
Curious Matter Anthology, the multi-award-winning hit fiction podcast, is back for a brand new season.
Please proceed to a customs terminal for processing.
This summer, take the journey to the Red Planet Inn, The Exile.
What'd you have to do to piss off a whole planet?
I'm not really sure how to answer that.
Tiffany Smith stars as ex-Earth federal agent Bryce Gordon.
Put on a badge and it becomes a shield against all of this.
The Exile features an all-star cast. Phil Lamar, Trace Lissette, Kevin Smith.
It's not just the atmosphere that's changing. There's a storm on the horizon.
Tricia Helfer, Malcolm Barrett, Todd Stashwick, Eugene Bird.
You're gonna water the sand right here.
Tracy Toms, Colin Ferguson, Raymond Lee, and Jolly Bomani, Caitlin Bassett, and many more.
Mars, humanity's great endeavor.
Disperse immediately. This is an unlawful assembly.
But it had come to symbolize something else.
We should be out there helping these people, not putting them in mines.
Reaching on 3!
Nothing free. No air we don't steal, no food we don't take, no water that ain't recycled from our blood and piss.
We are Mars, and Mars is war!
Curious Matter Anthology Season 3, The Exile. Available wherever you listen to podcasts June 18th, with early access and ad-free listening available exclusively on Apple Podcasts starting June 4th.